Thank you everyone again for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started with our next session. We have two excellent presenters, starting with Rebecca Skubish. Perfect. She is the co-founder and head of marketing at Bright Cat Marketing, a digital agency specializing in design, web, and digital strategy. With over 25 years of experience, she is a trusted advisor to entrepreneurs and executives looking to scale in the digital space. Rebecca excels at building digital marketing ecosystems that drive growth through data-driven, scalable solutions. Alongside her partners, Kim Christensen and Liz Thackerden, she has helped businesses achieve significant growth across industries. A marketing mentor for the local startup community, Rebecca is passionate about empowering businesses to leverage digital marketing technologies for sustainable success. And we have Amy Cole, a native of St. Louis, Missouri. She is the innovative founder and CEO of AK Operations. Since its establishment in 2018, Amy has propelled AK Operations to become one of the fastest growing companies in the country, driven by her deep commitment to strategic growth and client success. With a formidable team of 15 dynamic women, all from St. Louis, AK Operations stands as a testament to Amy's vision of empowering local talent and fostering a collaborative, high-performing environment. Her leadership embodies a hands-on, results-oriented approach that aligns with the company's mission of streamlining go-to-market strategies and driving sustainable business growth. Please welcome Rebecca and Amy.
Thank you so much. And everybody, thanks for coming today. I like to say I'm a born and raised St. Louis startup ecosystem gal. All the way back in like T-Rex years and even the EDC out in St. Charles. Is anybody from St. Charles here?
I got a couple.
Okay, good. Okay.
Lived in there for part of my childhood.
Perfect. So consider yourself a yes. So I like to share that because what we're doing in this room today, there were people doing this for me even just 10 years ago, and I really think it's a big testament to both Becky and I and our stories. So I'm Amy. This is my wing woman bestie and counterpart in business. This is Becky. We have separate companies, but we spend a lot of time together, oftentimes sharing news, projects, and particular client work. We're going to go through a couple of background slides on us, and we're going to dive into some heavier topics in relation to go-to-market. It may feel very future state to some of you, but I think that's okay. I think we need to help you guys paint the picture of where you showed up today to go further and to make the next chapter and the next chapter and the next chapter. But as a firm believer, you can't get to second base without rounding first. I really think we're going to hit the foundational pieces. We're going to help you visualize what it's like to go all the way home.
Sure, and I'm going to step out of that bright light. So we've already kind of had our brief bios. I think one of the most important things as we've been listening to some of the other founders and speakers talk today, we've heard a lot of stories about, oh, it's this, and it's this overnight success. And guys, I started consulting because I got laid off, right? And I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Like, what am I going to do now? So I managed to walk out of one door and open another, and I was a solo consultant for 7 years. Loved it. Got a little lonely as a solo consultant. The woman that built my website in 2018 was a lady named Liz Thackerden, and she is now my partner in Bright Cat. And we've built relationships with all the people we meet, and it's just such a testament to how you can navigate one change and make it be something that is fantastic. So that's a little bit about my background. I love what I do. Amy and I work together on different projects. We are HubSpot partners together. We sell HubSpot. And it's been a great partnership for both of us. I live on one side of the fence. She kind of lives on the other. And we figure out how to hand stack in the middle. So that's a little bit about my background. Oh, I'm an Illinoisan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I might be the only one in the room. I crossed the force field. Illinois in the house. There we go. I did. I crossed the force field that is the Mississippi River. I made it. I have 3 adult children. My daughter lives in Manhattan. And then I have 2 boys. One still lives at home, and then one just got married this May. So that's a little bit about me. Amy?
I also have 3 kids. 2 of the 3 had a soccer tournament this weekend, and that's why I have a horse voice. But I feel like I need to clarify, or the nice disclaimer, I'm their coach, not just the greatest mom. So it hits different, doesn't it, once you know I'm the coach? Okay, so I graduated from college, and at the time, my mom was super, super sick. You know, we heard a lot about the challenges of entrepreneurship earlier today. It was awesome. I really appreciate like the vulnerability and candidness of all speakers, so I think that's important. And so when she was sick, I needed to find, my dad was finally going to go back to work Monday through Friday and take care of our family, especially my mom. And at the time, so work from home wasn't a thing, so I went to what my mom told me was a networking group up at our church in St. Joe's in Cottleville. Turned out when I walked in, it was a men's networking group. And I sat down, and I'm like, I missed a memo. And they were great. They're laughing at it. It was just a really good coincidental story. But I ended up meeting the first founder I supported that day. And I said, I don't know what I have to offer you guys, but I'm a workhorse, and I'm smaller. And my mom's sick, so I need to find a different kind of way to work. All of my other friends were going and worked for big cool companies or agencies, and I knew my path was just going to be different. Fast forward, that company sold. I met Jim Eberlin. Who knows of Jim Eberlin? DT and I both worked for Jim once. He and I met at when I did went and work for an agency in between to kind of refine and show the skill set I knew I wanted to do with my life. And I met Jim, and he asked me to be his first employee with Top Ops, and the rest is history. At Top Ops, I ended up building a go-to-market program for, at the time, only 2 to 3 closers. And today is similar to what I do today, only it's way smarter now. Jim only knew what I could do now compared to what I did for him then. But that is my career path. In that meantime, my mom passed away, and I lost my dad also. But I had 3 awesome kids, and also 3 kids like Becky, but they're all in elementary school still, so I got a work path for me. Current times, I have 15 women now that work at AK Ops. We grew only on our own revenue, so as soon as I maxed myself out and worked way too much, I hired one more person. And I had to talk each woman into trusting me that I would make sure that they always had what they needed. And I've done it now 15 times for all of them. And they're all doing really well, and in between all 15 women, there's over 24 kids. There's 2 more on the way this year. So women can actually do both. Be a badass mom and an absolute rock star at work. Okay, so I think that's really important. More now than ever, too. Becky, go ahead.
So we are going to talk about a couple of things. We are a little bit more in-depth than some of the previous presentations and speakers you might have seen. So we're going to talk about what's happening in B2B sales. So this really is focused around the B2B market. Actually, who is B2B right now? Excellent. How about B2C? A couple? All right, there we go. We got some balance in here. That's nice. And how many are startups, working for startups? Yeah, entrepreneurs just getting started. Yeah, awesome. What a great group.
Like department team leads in the room?
Oh, there we go. We got a couple. Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about what's happening in B2B sales right now. A couple of things that you're really going to want to think about when it comes to the marketing essentials that you're going to need. We do have some metrics. Okay, a lot of metrics. There's a lot of slides with metrics. How to set yourself up to scale, and the things that you should be considering from a software tech stack perspective, that type discussion. Amy's going to talk a lot about what a powerful revenue operations engine looks like, because this is also something that it's one of the reasons that I think partnering with AK Ops is so great for BrightCat. It's because I do learn a lot from what her team does. And then just some conclusions. We are going to leave some time for Q&A. So if there's any questions that you have, I think they do prefer that we hold them to the end so that the presentation stays more straightforward. But that's what we're going to do.
I got a cool side note. BT, I'm demoing the Rev Engine when you were my closer. So you guys will see how good BT's numbers are. It's Benjamin Thomas, but they're in the corner. So the Rev Engine I'm going to show is yours with Denim Social. One other thing, picture a world where you have a teammate that helps run ads, finds your positioning, finds your marketing and branding story, exactly how you want to actually communicate to the market. And then you might have a couple lead funnels coming into your website, and then another teammate who collects those leads, converts them, dispositions them appropriately so you know what's really working and what's not, so you can tell that person's partner, let's stop this campaign, that one didn't work, these other two, they're killing it. Let's double down. And then relate what she's doing to pipeline. Those are usually two very different brains, that's why there's both of us up here on the stage. One of you guys may be like, oh, I feel I resonate a lot with Becky. Amy is a whole black box, I can't figure it out. Or opposite, you're very sales-oriented, numbers-oriented, and you may have a lot of creative gaps. That's okay. Usually it's two different brains. It's actually scientifically two different brains. So that's why we're both up here. Wherever your gap is first, and you would typically start at the top of the funnel and work your way towards where I'm at. That's how you should take your notes. Okay, before we get into too much, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of good free resources. Scan this QR code. This is the 2024 benchmark sales report for all B2B sales. The reason this report really matters is it's a accumulation of a lot of the most high-profile, high-performing sales teams in the country. Actually, look at the statistics of it. It's like 530, $4.2 million in opportunities. Like, the caliber team is nuts. Can you imagine what ours would be if we were up here? This is what the best teams in the country are looking like this year, and then I'm not starting the presentation on the sour note, but it's really hard. So this year we have an 18% drop in win rates. Cycle times are taking 16% longer to close deals, and the worst part, there's 21% drop in deal value. So what used to sell is now 21% less. Terrible. Your whole model is built on that key number over there in the upper right-hand corner. Now, we've always talked about reps hitting quota. We've been talking about it for years. Why that's such a challenging thing is because every year or every couple of years, maybe every 4 years, there's undeniable challenges that naturally hit the sales teams. And 44% of the deals are slipping to the next quarter. So that's a stalled deal, a no, not now, we've all happened. The one that's most concerning to me in terms of like the maturity of the clients that I serve is this 9x velocity delta. It's a new term. Velocity delta is a little complicated when you read it just like that, but what that says is only 17% of your reps are doing 81% of the revenue. Sad, sucks. I think we know why. We're not enabling them the right way. And there's a lot of reasons why, but does everybody have this resource? This is a group called Pavilion. If you don't follow them on LinkedIn, you need to. And EBSA did this benchmarking report, and I actually met with Sam Jacobs in Boston and went through this in pretty good detail and got a lot of his candor feedback on it. But this is one of the worst he's seen. So when you guys are going to market for the first time ever, the decisions you make early on are so important in how you're designing your market strategy.
One quick note, also, you guys, you are more than welcome. There's a QR code at the end of this that you can follow to Brightcat Marketing. We've got a download for the slides themselves. So feel free. We're more than happy to share those resources with you or answer any questions or anything that you have that we can't get to during the time today.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet just to meet too, if you guys want to, after the fact or on to.
You can buy our tea with honey.
Yeah, not after a soccer game. All right, this next one, last heavy resource, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. This is the GTM Consortium Manifesto. Really complicated title for a really cool piece. I suggest you scan that QR code. This QR code is going to tell you what type of B2B model is best for your product based on a couple key variables. It actually breaks it down pretty cool into like if your if you're going to market with this size at first annual contract cost, how should you market? What channels are best for you? It's really cool. I'm gonna go through that really quickly. We're not gonna spend too much time on the actual details of right now. But I'm gonna go through the key high points. But it all kind of bubbles up into this one slide, and this is to me my Bible. We used to like raise $1 bajillion of VC capital, and then we used to burn it all because we had a hiring and scaling process that actually didn't pan out, or we never actually could fulfill what we said we were going to do, and our customers ended up leaving, and then we had the leaky bucket issue. There's 1,000 reasons why this growth at any cost model is done. We will never see it again, I don't think. This is where we just said, if I could just get 2% of the total market, my company will thrive. That's not going to happen anymore. That's why I love these scrappy, like founder-led events like this. Again, this is why I was in this seat. I knew this wasn't going to work because we relied on really expensive channels like inbound versus outbound, and sales heroics, meaning like no deal got closed unless the CEO or the founder closed it anyway, but you still had 17 sales reps. And like it took forever to figure out what's working. We didn't have this kind of time to evaluate. No one has time like that, especially now. And departments and teams is just too big. So this is what we call efficient growth at scale. The best news is some of my favorite teams I support today are under 5 people. Who's under 5 people? Every damn person in this room. I feel like I'm under 5 people sometimes. It's so, I mean, the leaner, the better a lot of the times. And this is why we're only going to talk about the people that are most relevant to our market. Not everybody. I don't need 2%. I need 30% of these 180 companies. That mindset is massive. It changes everything about how you're communicating your company health. And instead of doing inbound versus outbound, we're going to talk about what go-to-market motion actually matters for your customer and which one are they most likely to convert with. It may not be 100% paid, 100% inbound. You may not have money for that. You also may not be able to optimize your website so perfectly to where you're combating against Adobe and some of these bigger brands that are saying the same damn things. They don't do anything that you do. That's the challenge. And I really loved Alicia's presentation that was just before this one. She talks a lot about that. The foundational framework of what you're communicating on your website is essential. The challenge, though, sometimes is that it can take too long for us to really know if it's working or not. So ultimately, we need to enable a pipeline. The motions that we put in place need to put at-bats for our sales team. So we only need 1 or 2 closers, or even a founder closer. And truthfully, that's me. I still close all my deals. And then I need to know if it's working. I gotta figure it out in 30 days. I don't necessarily need the full return. I don't even know it's coming. I know those leading indicators are just saying, stay put, you're in the right path. Rather than the board mission, this is terrible. So that's you kind of can see that combination with Becky and I. All right, and then obviously we can stay leaner, we can stay leaner longer, we can operationalize, and that backbone of the company is really, really focused on technology, which is where we're going to get to in a second. But the cool thing is there's lots of fractional hustlers out there like myself and Becky, where you don't necessarily need to hire FTEs anymore. And truthfully, I think some of the best talent in the world is not on the market. Oh no. Becky, move for a second.
It's going.
Okay.
What am I not see through?
I don't know. All right, so here's the math behind it. So what I just said, that cool like Bible slide that I showed you with the 2 different black and pink sides. This is the difference. We used to hire reps and say, okay, you have 100 targets each, go book so generate some pipeline. So you'd maybe book 10 meetings. About half of them would be qualified. You're relying on all these reps, or even just imagine 1 rep. But this is something I show my team all the time. Do you need more reps or do you need more enablement? And this conversion rate's usually low because they don't have any leading indicator, or they don't have like an established activity to say that, hey, this is something they care about. So they end up getting 2 deals, a rep. Now imagine you had a whole go-to-market motion where you're nurturing your entire relevant market. Those 180 companies, 10 people at each, easily hit that number. And you're going to enroll them into some sort of campaign and nurture what Becky does, kind of what Alicia was talking about, the newsletter, 100 people engaging with your newsletter, and now that's who your reps are. They're fishing now in a stock pond. They're going to book more meetings. And the best part, they'll be better qualified because they had activity and nurture first. Same win rate. Imagine, what would that do? No, pretend that's a $100,000 deal. Pretend it's a $10,000 deal. Doesn't matter. The math makes sense. Okay.
See, it wasn't me.
All right, so now we're going to get into the essentials, and then we can always hop back and bounce between slides if you guys would like, but let's save them to the end.
All right, so let's talk about tech stack. I love HubSpot. I'm sorry. We may have to argue, arm wrestle out in the hall. HubSpot has one of the best CRMs that's out there for the price. For early stage companies, there's a couple of things. First, there's a $30 a month version that gets you all of the tools within HubSpot, with the exception, like it doesn't include automations and that sort of thing, but you can run pipeline through it, you can run your CRM through it, you can run your marketing emails through it, gives you 1,000 contacts, $30 a month. It's fantastic. Now, HubSpot offers 90% discounts for startups. If you're in an accelerator program, participating in accelerator programs, you can get that super high-end software at a pretty steep discount first year. Done with HubSpot. I was on LinkedIn, and I saw this lady who posted this huge, big chart of all of the softwares that they were using. I'm like, I haven't heard of half of those, and there's like 30. They're a company of like 15 people. I'm like, are you kidding? You have more software than you have people. So when you think about what you're going to put in your tech stack, please, please, please look to make sure the tools that you're using will consolidate and work well together. SalesLoft, Gong, Outreach, all of those tools can be done within HubSpot for the most part. There are some additional features that you might find value in that might be helpful, but for the most part, almost everything you need should be within one or two platforms. Unless you're looking at something super target, like the specialized feature that's going to solve some huge problem for you and be worth $100,000 worth of revenue, every tool that you add to your tech stack takes time. I also do always want to point out a couple of things here. Who's using AI? Everyone. Excellent. You do know that you've signed your life away, right?
Depends on which one you use. I found a privacy respecting option.
So for the most part, the Claudes, the ChatGPTs, HubSpot integrates with ChatGPT, OpenAI, right? Like when you click that box, you are giving them permission to use everything that is in your CRM to train their models. Not a bad thing, but if you're a company that has HIPAA compliance issues, if you're trying to maintain SOC 2, like there's all sorts of other security compliance issues that might live underneath that, please take a moment, send that terms of service over to your compliance team and make sure that as marketing, when you just opted into Copilot and AI Breeze or whatever the other tool is that you've chosen, didn't just invalidate your security compliance. Just FYI, I don't know anybody who's done that. All right, but this is, when you look at all the different options out there, there are a lot of options. Just be careful and make sure that it's going to deliver value for you in the near term, but then also where you want the business to go in the long term. Okay, you hear a lot about this. Welcome to Google and Google's brand positioning formula. I've been using this for years with clients. Positioning should be about one thing, not 5 things, not 7 things, not 3 things, one thing. What do you do better than anybody else in your space? I would also like to share with you that it is not customer service. That is not a differentiating point. And as you think about your positioning, I'm going to share a story with you. I worked for a cybersecurity company several years ago that used AI to track conversations on the dark web about vulnerabilities. And their software was truly predictive. They would watch to see which vulnerability numbers were being talked about in the dark web and then would assign scores based on how likely it was going to be that that vulnerability was going to be exploited. It was fascinating, it was so great. So we put all over our website, we do all these great things, right? Like we're predictive. Guess what? Every other cybersecurity company in the CVE said the same damn thing. So, and it's part of the deal. When you're doing a positioning exercise, understanding what your competition says is also critically important. And by the way, the cybersecurity company was the only one that was actually predictive. And it didn't matter. It was just noise in the market. So let's talk about ideal customer.
Yeah, in your camera, I just sent the same screenshot to my team. Like, this is a good framework here.
Everybody, when they think about ideal customer, immediately thinks about the title and the industry. It is about so much more than that. All of these things are critically, or could be, critical to your target audience. If you're selling a software platform and need to know which software they're using, that's critically important. Revenue can be a piece of the puzzle. Are they an enterprise level company? Are you talking about selling to startups? Like, what is your audience? I work with a company that their total addressable market is 750 companies. That's it. Period, end, stop. For like years. They sell a very specific product. We only talk to 750 companies. Period, end, stop. So you can have a very small target market. It just depends on where the best place is for you to be able to deliver value.
All right, so part of the manifesto, this chart's ugly, I didn't design it, but it's from that second QR code you guys scanned. So the way to think through this is, I have a B2B model. How much is my customer first annual contract value? And what's the different influence on the different teams and the different styles of go-to-market or campaigns or channels matter. So most of my clients sit in this like $15,000 to $50,000 ACV. That's like half. So there is a bit of a volume game here. There's a big part. There's a TAM. They may be more outbound heavy, but the orchestration, and this is top up, the orchestration of the operational backbone matters a lot. You can't have one sales rep going outbound 13 times to each contact, each company to book a meeting with that one account. That's math I don't even need to do here. It's just so ridiculous. So you have to have this outbound framework. So we want industry persona-based sales motions with a mix of high intent marketing nurture. Those newsletters we talked about, a couple of you guys asked questions on that earlier. Yes, 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 yes to an ongoing content nurture plan. It should be gentle. It should not be about you. It should be about why they should care about what you do. I always like to say this too, like with inbound or with outbound. If you are not providing value in the inbox, you do not deserve to be there without an opt-in. Let that sink for a second. You can go to Apollo and pull down a list of your prospects for sure. But if you start prospecting them about you, like it's such a bad first impression. Nurture them first. Talk about the things that you know that they likely struggle with and 5 or 6 quick things that they could do now without you. That's that credibility that's necessary, especially when you have to have an outbound framework. Oh, shoot.
Well, and while Amy is doing that, I can't tell you guys how often with a founder, with a CEO, I'm literally having to have the argument over and over and over again. This is not about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you do. They care about the problems that are important to them. And the minute that your emails start turning into a sales motion, you are no longer nurturing that prospect. And you can literally watch it happen over time. Your database, your engagement will slowly drop, and you will lose those people.
The second chunk is like the $50,000 to almost $500,000 average contract value. Not many of us sell those. I think this is important to note. These are the people that need a higher touch and maybe extremely personalized content. So a general playbook's not going to work. A general playbook for enterprise accounts serving MSPs And typically these are going to be a lot smaller pipelines to fill because naturally it takes a lot longer to work these deals. So 10 to 15 accounts or the active deals per rep is okay. And even more so if I were to go even further, the dedicated touches is up to $1 million deal sizes that I have like 5 or 6 clients in this space right now. It takes a lot of executive influence to get these deals over the line. And they take forever. This is a different nurture play. The nurture still matters because if you meet somebody in January, you know they won't close until next February, you can't just call them and check in every 3 weeks. You need your marketing team to support you. They need to be enabling that deal too. That's where the content matters. All right, so we're gonna get into like the foundational pieces of building this now yourself. And I'm gonna tell you a story along the way of a client that I met when they were brand new. And I want you to see, help you forward think where they are 12 months afterwards. But it starts first with our data.
So I love putting this up. Guys, this is a client who comes to me and says, I don't understand why my outbound isn't working. They have 37 contacts in their database. Do you see this? What's this? Who are these people? Who put them?
1,000 contacts.
No
Not
personas.
one of them is tagged with a salesperson.
No one. What are you going to tell them? Hello? This is one of the biggest challenges that I see when we start working with companies is that the database, everybody has had their hands in it. Everybody has uploaded contacts. No one has put any sort of guardrails or framework around what could be uploaded into the database. And what do you end up with at the end of the day? 37,000 contacts. Databases are like fruit. They go bad. You will lose 20% of your database every year. People switch jobs, right? The longer you let it sit, the less value it has. So really think about what you're putting in, and then also really give some thought to what you're going to want to be able to do in the future with this information, right? Like, where did they come from, right? Are you going to put investors in here? Are you going to put all of your friends and family in here? Like, how are you going to build a list that has value 18 months from now?
Becky, the fruit one's a new one for me. Do you remember the other one you used to always say?
Probably not.
The database, your database is the gift that keeps giving. So it kind of goes both ways.
Yes.
But it is exactly true. And if you guys want a tactical tip, you have been building, collecting your database throughout your whole journey as an entrepreneur. Every quarter, spend $100 and run it through zero bounce for 1 cent a contact.
Yes.
Spend $100 and it'll test to make sure that those emails are still valid and that person is actually still there. So simple. And cleanse them. Get them out of the way if they're not. Move on. Or get somebody to review do something.
Or yeah, doing it.
Saturday afternoon, updating where they are now and reaching out on LinkedIn and asking them if you can connect with them with their new spot. It actually helps you really take care of your network. So this is obviously something that's very important, but oftentimes overlooked because it's just not sexy. And as an entrepreneur, you guys are probably big thinkers, and you want to stay visionary. But these like little things matter to do their things right. So here's my foundational 5 pieces to going to market. You must have targeting data and the healthy domains first. You cannot send 5,000 emails and expect to hit inboxes the next day. It just doesn't happen. Who's done it? Own it. Somebody. Yes, there you go. Thank you. I like it. And it's harder now ever, and I'll talk to you guys about that in a second. I'll give you some quick tips. But you have to have that ICP management. That's a whole persona setting that she just went through. We have to have content that nurtures ongoing without talking about who you are, but why they should care. And you really should connect all your channels into your framework, especially if it's HubSpot. It's just a no-brainer. Then we must know what our sales messaging is going to look like. These are 2 very different content copy. Again, oftentimes not the same brain. It's okay. Your first sales email should never ask for a meeting. It should ask if they care about this or if they're interested. And then we should figure out if we do have manpower that we can enable, what's the best way to make the best use of their 1 or 2 extra hours a day. I'll tell you, BT back there had never said no when I gave him a high intent call list back in the day when he was still building his own pipeline. Those are the reps you look for. And you let the sequences do the emailing, you hire your reps to have conversations, right? You don't want them to like update the CRM, write emails, when you can do it more at scale. And ultimately you have to have this operational motion, like what touches to what titles book the best pipeline that is most likely to help me hit my number. So I know this sounds a little high level still, or a little complicated still, but it's extremely important. And this full funnel conversion of the pipeline is essential. And I have a breakdown coming for you that you guys should take a picture of. So you can say, every contact you guys have, either in a spreadsheet or whatever, needs to be labeled with some sort of lead current status. And I'll show you that in a second. So let me tell you a story about one of my favorite sales teams. It was a founder-led team. Had the intention to hire 2 to 3 sales reps. He had a really strong product and a good amount of inbounds, but he had like absolutely no process. A high ASP. It's a digital asset management software, and he competes against people like Adobe who say they do the same thing. So imagine a world where you're like, hey, Orange Logic is the company's name. Orange Logic, how do we formally serve XYZ company 6 years ago or 6 months ago? I need to mimic what that RFP process is going to be exactly like this. Or what's my best customer story to share with somebody in manufacturing? It's a big, awesome, robust database that'll help bubble up the right assets. So he had to figure out how it was going to work, and we only had 4 months to do it. So we set goals. We analyzed the way their ICP looked. We identified the TAM that they had yet to pursue, and we decided to slow launch after about 3 weeks. We took care of the domain first. We warmed it up slowly before we went outbound. You cannot prospect on your main domain in 2024, 2025. You just cannot do it.
Okay, hold on. Does everybody know what that meant? So my company's name is brightcatmarketing.com. When you send emails, you do not use brightcatmarketing.com as your sending domain.
You use brightcatmarketing.co.
Yeah, or .net or .info.
And it forwards to the main domain.
Yes, you can no longer, because of the different email rules and all of the different kind of variabilities that live within deliverability, sending on your main domain is a recipe for disaster. Because what ends up happening is unfortunately, if something bad does happen, when you send some outbound emails, you get reported as spam. It means that the main domain, your brightcatmarketing.com, which is your bread and butter, now will not deliver to your clients.
You can be in a quarantine status for all other Outlook inboxes.
You said send it as what?
A secondary sending domain is basically like that separate root or ending domain.
So
I'll
rather,
get into this later. I have a whole slide on it that you guys can take a look at.
well,
But
and
think
I
that's
have to tell you, we're getting really tight on time because, we're chatty.
Okay. My point is, we took a look at how many people can we target first, and you see that orange number and how it grows with time. The good news is we actually hit our goals because we went slow. You don't go fast first. You go slow first, you can go fast later. And I think this is really important. This is meetings and deals that we added to the pipeline. So you can see how we actually exceeded goal, but it took a second. We had to do a lot of pivots early on. This is what they look like now. They're prospecting at scale, and they've actually covered all 5,600 companies in their relevant market in the last 12 months. Booked 290 meetings, and that gave them 26 new customers at that $145,000 price point. They're 3-year deals. This company is fine now. But when I met him, he was extremely in angst. He now has 3 additional closers, and they're killing it. So I think what's really important is we have to take a second, take a look at how we're, sorry, go ahead.
Can you go back, please?
Maybe.
Maybe.
You can get all of these slides after. Just so you know, you can. We'll send the presentation out after if you just follow the QR code. No, you're totally fine. The clicker is not working very well to make it. There we go.
So we go through the targeting. You got to make sure your marketable database and your accounts are all organized, like we just talked about. So deliverability really, really matters, and the patterns have to be consistent and healthy and low. And I'll go into that in a second. And then determining what plays are the most important. You can be personalized, you use AI, you have content that really needs to nurture, and ultimately the typical ABM and sales prospecting plays are important as well. But ultimately, if you don't go in this order, you cannot make pivots or have any sort of idea of what impact you're actually having. So in deliverability, the recklessness of spray and pray, ruined it for everybody. And rightfully so, I'm actually very thankful for that. I do a lot of outbound. I'm very thankful because of the strategy that I have is always different. So we are still leaning inboxes, and the email is still cheap. But you gotta do it a little different. So nurture your database first. A nurtured database converts 4 times higher, you guys, into pipeline. And meeting conversions are still low on high volume, but conversions are high on small batch. They're low on high volume, but it takes 8 to 10 people at each company, and it takes a long time to convert them. You have to care for your target now, way more than you did before. I won't get into this, but essentially there's tools. Take a picture if you want to help monitor your domain performance. But zero bounce is really important. There's also like some really good tools like Warmy that help warm up inboxes. You can do it in about 2 weeks, which is really, really great. But imagine being a real life SDR. I mean, this one, we're managing 12 inboxes for this particular client. Lots of emails go outbound. We book a lot of meetings, but look at all these out of offices that had to be dispositioned. Every time a woman's on maternity leave, you have to disposition that. It's the easiest trap to get thrown into a whole company's spam filter. They keep going after Emily. We've already told her she's on maternity leave for 6 more months. It's the easiest way. Okay, I'm gonna skip this. This is like conversion data, but setting this all up to scale is really important. So the metrics that really, really matter, Becky's gonna talk about, and we'll show you how it comes to fruition.
So, and I'm also gonna not, because we are tight on time, guys. But this last little graph over here, this little section right here, this is one of the best things that you can do for yourself before you invest a single marketing dollar. I was looking for a different way to reach people in our ICP. I talked to a company that has a newsletter. It's a $7,000 per newsletter cost. So they have a huge database, 290,000 people. Woohoo, right? Oh, yay, yay, so excited. Guys, it literally, if you follow the math through this, the click-through rate on that top ad is 0.38. This is 440 website visits. That's it, $7,000, 440 website visits. If your site converts at 3%, not customers, converts to somebody downloads content, fills out a contact form, you're gonna get 13 leads. That's a cost per lead of $538. Oh my goodness gracious. So average cost per lead in cybersecurity right now, LinkedIn, $195. So really thinking about what, where, and how you're gonna spend that money, critically important.
Good visual that I like to share, especially when you're making decisions, is what's the lead? Where am I getting the lead? What's the lead doing? What did it take to actually book the first sales conversation? And actually, what is the true deal source? So there could be thousands of these. You could create a lead, and this could be 2 years later they finally start to engage. It could be 14 days later. It could be 6 years later that they actually book your first meeting. But this is really what it looks like. This journey matters. You can see that like ziggy-zaggy, kind of epileptic visual. But it's important because it's moving all the time. It should be live. I can show you if we end up needing some of the dashboards that I like to keep as like a tried and true. Okay, take a picture of this. This is how we're connecting our lead statuses in the upper left-hand corner down and over and how they relate to our pipeline. They should correlate. There's definitions in there and even exit criteria, so you will really, it's very generic, you should be able to copy and paste this over to your business model. Very, very easy. It matters how many people have you lost. You need to identify them very easily. It even matters more how many people say not right now. They're candidates for the ongoing nurture. I also think it's important to, if you do have a sales rep, they can market rep work and you never need to touch it with automation. It's okay. But everyone else, let's help them. And ultimately, this to me, you can go ahead and take a screenshot. BANT is no new news here. But this is in a GTM funnel. That's the holy grail. The minute I get somebody to an opportunity, the meeting's been booked through go-to-market, the rep took the deal, or took the meeting, I'm sorry, and said, yep, this is confirmed in person of the buying team. Yes, they have a pain we can in fact solve. And we did set next steps within a reasonable amount of time. 1 to 2 weeks is probably what we look for. That means now that this deal has legs. marketing and sales, marketing and GTM, anything top funnel has done its job. Now we're not talking about how much our website traffic grew. We're not talking about how many followers we have on LinkedIn. We're talking about how much pipeline have we enabled. And if your Bible is always qualified pipeline, that is the most healthy GTM efficiency metric you could ever ask for. Remember that big busy slide with the pink and the red? The source of truth is enabled pipeline. And those that don't adopt that in the next 2 years, we're gonna have a really hard time. We're not raising money like we used to. We have to grow our own revenues. That discipline is uncomfortable. It feels very scary to those of us that are not sales oriented naturally, but it is going to be key. It directs everything. So when I was supporting Denim Social back in the day, BT was one of our reps, and the way you read this is we nurtured 7,000 prospects, which go to market and with content. Our goal was to get 2% of them to engage, and we actually got 4% of them to engage. Out of those engagers, we then prospected them. So there was 300 people we prospect, and 1 in 4 of them turned into a meeting for his team. He and his team showed up to 74 meetings. 64 of them were actual opportunities. They met, and now he was working band on them. BT and his team closed 13 customers within this 90-day cohort. That's the funnel. It is not this person's job, then that person does this one, this one does this one, this one does this one, and then shit, we missed our number. It can't be that. It's not that. And we have self-educated buyers more now than ever before. So this part cannot be overlooked any longer. It just can't. So I think when you think about this, again, this database was pretty inexpensive to acquire, nurture, and cleanse quarterly, but it always gave. It always gave. Now, if I would have backed out of this quarter analysis, they actually closed 21 deals. That win rate was what they hit, like a 25% win rate. But I wanted to show exactly what we fed and what we got within that 90-day. Math people with me? Some of you are cross-eyed, but it's okay.
No,
We can
it's
chit-chat
okay.
later. Going back to my favorite customer, I'm just going to go through this, and we still have 10 minutes. We're okay. That favorite customer of mine now nurtures 9,000 companies every single year, and it takes 8 people at each company for them to create a pipeline deal. So there's a report, active and nurture, and the average number of companies underneath 8 people. Then I go to ZoomInfo or Apollo and I add a couple extras. We rest substantially between sales campaigns. So a contact may go active and they rest for 45 days. They keep getting marketing, but they don't get sales. And our sweet spot, after 9 to 11 sales touches, we get deals coming in. And it's a total of 16 touches if you include the marketing touches. How awesome is this, like, DNA? You know exactly the playbook and what kind of sales message converts the most pipeline. So now, we actually have 26% of their pipeline, this is year 2 now, with no human intervention at all. It's the digital touches that we built within HubSpot. And if you notice, the days to book, so how long it took, the average deal size, and the days to close are exactly the same as self-sourced. So the quality of the deal is no different. But how much more efficient is that?
So, and Amy said something on the previous slide that I think is very difficult for people to internalize and truly grasp. The 11 to 16 touches before you start seeing conversions come in kind of goes back to the founder conversations. Well, we sent an email, like, congratulations, let's send 15 more, and they like faint on the ground. And it's like, you can't send 1. No one responds to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea that, oh, I sent an email, I'm done. No, you're not. Congratulations, let's do some more. It doesn't work with this one-touch idea. All right, basic branding and positioning, we talked about it. Your website. Actually, Alicia referred to this in her presentation. The website is the calling card of your business. It's the best place to invest to start. The right tech stack, defining your ICP, sales messaging framework, keeping your database clean. And then, Amy, you want to close us out?
Yeah, the framework matters. What you spend your time designing is going to be worth it. Making sure that you have a tight a lot of content. It was heavy. It went deep. I don't mean to be like a doomsday kind of gal on this presentation, but it is very important to like paint the picture of where you're going. Because if you guys, once you get to the place where you're ready to start going to market at a little bit more at scale, go the wrong path too long, it can be deadly. And that's just the ugly truth of what we've all been through. And I don't know about you guys, I don't have time for that. I have to know the good, the bad, and the ugly so I can make sure I'm navigating and making the right decisions. I'm happy to take any conversation, a meeting with anybody and have a conversation. There's no ever strings attached. But I've seen several founders take the wrong direction. And it sucks. It really sucks. So, and it's complicated now. It's digital. There's AI conversations constantly. There's a database and there's investments that it takes, but it can be done. And when it is done right, you guys, it's extremely fruitful. Any question? Where's the question? Jen? Yes.
So for a more starting a company that is just developing and looking for their clients as a business to business, where do you look for them, or how do you start finding those customers and knocking on those doors? Because I feel like when you're selling to people, it might be easier to advertise it broadly and then target it specifically. But when you're looking for businesses, how do you start knocking on those doors? Is it always emails?
Are you B2B?
Mm-hmm.
Scrappiest B2B motion, I think, is to get HubSpot at the lowest level and make sure you can nurture contacts with some newsletters and some content. I run newsletters all the time that have nothing to do with our contacts, our logos. So imagine like a very muted header with maybe like your icon, but doesn't talk about who you are. It's 5 things home buyers must know in 2025. The copy, keep them in the inbox. You don't even need them to click, especially if your website sucks, who cares? Keep them in the inbox. Did you know you can go to a marketing newsletter inside of HubSpot and you can see exactly who read the whole thing? You don't even need clicks anymore. It's awesome. Start there. And then if anybody reads your email, call them.
Yeah.
Call them. It's a little mini funnel. I sent 200, I had 60 people read, I had 7 conversations. There you go. Start small, little things matter, and do a different test each day.
So two things. Marketers fail fast. It's really easy to fail, but as long as you're learning with each iteration that you do, the better you will be. Brightcat sends a newsletter. There's like 65 people in my database. Go team. Every time I get an engager from that email, you know what I do? I call them. And you know what it does? It brings in new business for Brightcat. And we're growing very slowly because we have to. We're not interested in growing like crazy. We're not interested in doing a whole bunch of hiring. We're taking the right projects for the business at this time. That's what I do. Works like a charm.
Hi, thank you guys both for the talk. It's been extremely informative. I was just looking for the QR code for the slide.
Oh wait,
that was
go one more.
Sorry, I just wanted to get this information. Thank you.
So this will take you to a landing page that just has a form on it to download the presentation.
Go ahead.
Founder closer, B2B. I'm selling to execs in an industry that's like pretty saturated, common is construction. So when you talked about value proposition and like catching the eye, Rebecca mentioned customer service is not the way to go, but it's like selling coffee. It's like,
Yeah, executive sales are difficult. Have you been able to identify like the whole buying team of those companies?
Yeah.
Again, I think if you had 5 or 6 key accounts you want to land, it's worth writing custom newsletters or nurture content and sharing that first.
Okay, custom.
And
We just told them is interesting.
sorry.
But I was going to say too, the value proposition for each of those people is different.
Right.
I'm surprised by this. I aggregate our data every month on all of the accounts we run. Referral content, referral sales messaging works best consistently. So it's hey Morgan, I help companies all the time, just like yours. Typically I work with X and Y in companies, but does this matter to you, or should I go after one of them instead? They will gladly point you in that direction. Or you can lean on that funnel a little bit. then you create a couple of big conversations. I think the biggest thing is your ask. Salespeople love to ask for time. You don't deserve it yet. They don't know you yet. They don't owe you anything. In fact, they need to understand first why it matters that you're reaching out. So again, sequencing tools are cheap, marketing tools are expensive.
We're still, when selling to execs, short on time, short attention span, we're still talking 11 to 15 email touches.
Not necessarily email. Some of that can be LinkedIn, some of that can
Just
be
touches total,
just
okay.
touches total.
It's
Okay.
9 to 11 sales touches, 16 total touches in the go-to-market motion. So it could be social and content.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I know. The math is not in our favor. I think that's why we need to talk about this. Go ahead. I can do you if I do.
Oh, okay, great. So our B2B strategy, a lot of it is with LinkedIn ads, using lead gen as the goal. And as the leader and the budget holder, it's really frustrating to not get any leads and just see the cost per lead climb, and then, like I'm the one that has to explain why it's so high. And my team often is like, okay, it's warming up, like let us nurture these leads and run retargeting. So my question is, how do you know when to kill a campaign?
So
You're not going to like my answer.
I think we're going to have the same answer. If it's a LinkedIn campaign, you might go ahead and pull that trigger. And the thing about it is, if you should be able to track that from the original cost and how much you paid for that conversion, and did it close? So when you're back on the metrics that matter slide, and we're talking about customer acquisition costs, if your customer acquisition cost is roughly the same after you add in you, the sales team, everybody else, in order what it took to acquire that customer, it's not just about the cost of the LinkedIn ad. It's about all of the pieces that are part of that math. If those numbers are not in your favor, identifying that sooner rather than later and stopping outbound campaigns like that is critically important.
I think I have 2 parts to that answer. It's either broken after conversion, like how are we 5-minute follow-up, are we dropping them additional content and interest questions, are we just pushing for a meeting prematurely, okay? Or most of the clients I work with can't afford ads, truthfully, you guys.
Through
They're
LinkedIn.
expensive, and it's a gamble because you're all dependent on like these things you plug in when you're building your audience. I go for a stack pond approach. I want to take the actual 10 companies I want and the 10 people each of them, and I want to nurture these 100 people. Small number math is in your favor, especially early on. You'll learn a lot more too. And then the best part, those assets don't die because the ad turns off. It's yours. And you're like, okay, if that worked for Coca-Cola, could I go after AB? And I'm using beauty brands, which is relative relation. But could I apply that campaign to all food and beverage accounts? And now you have some motion, some steam, some numbers. Listen, it was a pleasure. I'm very thankful you guys sat through this. Not all you guys were cross-eyed through the math. I really appreciate it. You're welcome to reach out to me directly, and our calendars are on that QR code too, I think.
No, not a chance.
Okay, you go to my website. My website's open. My calendar is open if you guys like to dig in anymore.
Thank you.